Ambassador Park Min-ho walked slowly to the large silver machine in the middle of the room. His heart was beating fast, but his hands did not shake. Today was the most important day in human history. For the first time ever, Earth would talk to aliens from faraway stars. The machine hummed with blue light. Scientists had worked for years to build this quantum transmitter. It could send messages across the galaxy in seconds. Min-ho had practiced his speech many times. Every word mattered. "Begin transmission," said Dr. Kim Hyo-jin from her control panel. Red lights blinked on the walls of the Geneva Diplomatic Center. Outside, news reporters waited for any information about this secret meeting. Min-ho cleared his throat and looked into the camera. Somewhere, far in space, alien beings would hear his words in just moments. "Greetings to the honored members of the Zephyrian High Council," he said clearly. "I am Ambassador Park Min-ho, speaking for all humans on Earth. Our United Earth government wants peace between our peoples. We hope to trade goods and share knowledge with your great empire." He paused for a moment, then his voice became more serious. "However, we must be clear about one thing. Any attacks on human colonies or settlements will be answered with force. We do not want war, but we will defend our people." The message traveled through space at the speed of light, crossing vast distances between stars. Far away on the planet Zephyr Prime, 4 alien beings sat around a crystal table in their grand council chamber. Their skin was almost see-through, like glass filled with silver liquid. Their large black eyes could see colors humans could not even imagine. Overlord Kethfer was the leader of the Zephyrian hegemony. His empire controlled 43 different star systems. Billions of aliens across the galaxy followed his commands. His armies had conquered dozens of worlds. No one had ever dared to threaten him. When the human message finished playing, the council chamber was quiet for several seconds. Then Kethfer began to laugh. It was a cold, harsh sound that echoed off the crystal walls. "Did I hear that correctly?" he asked the other council members. "Did this tiny creature just threaten us?" Council member Vexana shook her head in disbelief. "These humans live on just one small world around one ordinary star. They have never even left their own solar system. How dare they speak of war to us?" Another council member, Zorkith, pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's solar system. "Look at them," he said with disgust. "They still fight wars among themselves. Their technology is hundreds of years behind ours. They are like insects trying to threaten giants." Kethfer stood up from his throne-like chair. His silver robes flowed around him like liquid metal. "Send this message across all our communication networks," he ordered. "Let every world in our empire hear how the primitive humans think they can challenge us. It will make good entertainment." But the Zephyrians had made a terrible mistake. They knew nothing about what humans had been doing in secret, in the cold darkness at the edge of Earth's solar system. Captain Lee Soo-jin sat in the command center of a small, black spacecraft. Her ship was invisible to most sensors. Special coating absorbed light and energy, making it nearly impossible to detect. "Report, Lieutenant Park. We have completed mapping of the 3rd Zephyrian Fleet Base. Captain, all weapon positions and shield generators have been recorded. The aliens have no idea we are here." Captain Lee smiled slightly. For 8 months, her reconnaissance ships had been watching the Zephyrians. They flew hidden in cosmic background radiation, using technology the aliens did not know existed. Every military base, every weapon, every weakness had been carefully recorded. "How many systems have we fully mapped?" she asked. 17, ma'am. Admiral Choi says we need data on at least 20 systems before Operation Darkening Sky can begin. Lee Soo-jin had served in Earth's military for 15 years. She had fought in the colony wars and helped design humanity's first deep space warships. She knew that war was coming. The Zephyrians would never accept humans as equals. They saw Earth's people as insects to be stepped on. But they would learn differently soon enough. Her communication officer, Ensign KOG-1 suddenly looked up from his console. "Captain, we are receiving a priority message from Earth Command." "Put it through," Lee ordered. Admiral Choi Sungmin's voice came through the speakers. "All reconnaissance units, this is Earth Command. The Zephyrians have rejected our diplomatic message. Continue your missions, but be ready for rapid extraction. War may come sooner than we planned." Lee Soo-jin looked out at the stars through her ship's small window. The Zephyrians thought they were so powerful and wise. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this day since first contact became possible. The aliens controlled 43 worlds and had advanced technology, but humans had something more valuable. They had learned to hide their true strength, while carefully studying their enemies. Soon, the galaxy would discover what happened when you underestimated the species from Earth. The alarm bells screamed through Europa Mining Station Beta 7 at exactly 3:47 in the morning. Station Director Kim Hae-won jumped out of bed and ran to the emergency console in her quarters. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. "What is happening?" she shouted into her communicator. But nobody answered. The main power had already been cut. Outside in space, 3 Zephyrian attack ships moved like dark shadows against the stars. Their hulls were smooth and curved, designed for speed and killing. Captain Vextel commanded the lead vessel. He had orders to make an example of the human colony. "Target the main habitat domes," he told his weapons officer. "Make sure there are no survivors. These insects must learn their place." The plasma cannons fired bright blue beams of superheated gas. The energy struck the mining station's protective shields, which lasted only seconds against the alien weapons. Then the deadly beams hit the metal walls of the station itself. Kim Hae-won felt the floor shake under her feet. She knew immediately what was happening. Her family lived in Section C, near the main reactor. She had to reach them. "Papa," her 8-year-old daughter, Sumin, called out as the lights went dark. "Papa, I'm scared." Kim Hae-won ran through the twisting corridors as explosions rocked the station. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows on the walls. Behind her, she could hear the horrible sound of metal being melted by alien fire, but she was too late. The second plasma blast hit Section C directly. The habitat dome cracked like an egg, and the cold vacuum of space rushed in. 300 people died in less than 30 seconds, including Kim Hae-won and her entire family. The Zephyrian ships left as quickly as they had come, leaving only twisted metal and frozen bodies floating in space. On Earth, Admiral Choi Sung was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency message arrived. His aide, Captain Lee Min-young, burst into his office with tears in her eyes. "Sir, we have received a distress signal from Europa Mining Station Beta 7, she said, her voice shaking. "There are no survivors." Admiral Choi set down his coffee cup with steady hands, but inside his heart was breaking. He had known this day would come eventually. The Zephyrians had shown their true nature. "Give me the casualty list," he ordered. As he read the names of the dead, his face grew darker with each line. Engineers, miners, teachers, children, all murdered by alien plasma fire. Then he saw a name that made his hands shake. Nam Tae-ho, his old friend from the military academy. Nam Tae-ho had been visiting his sister at the mining station. He was supposed to return to Earth next week to start his new job, designing starship engines. Now he was dead, along with his 12-year-old daughter, who had wanted to be a pilot, just like her father. Admiral Choi closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened them again, his face was like stone. "Contact President Park So-young immediately," he told his aide. "Tell her we need an emergency session of the Global Assembly." 6 hours later, President Park So-young stood at the podium in the Great Assembly Hall in New Geneva. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat in their seats, their faces grim. The attack on Europa had been broadcast on every news channel. The whole world was watching. "Citizens of Earth," President Park began, her voice carrying across. The silent chamber. Today, the Zephyrian hegemony has committed an act of pure evil. They murdered 300 innocent people in cold blood. She paused to let her words sink in. I am giving the Zephyrians exactly 72 hours to remove all their military forces from human space. If they refuse, Earth will respond with immediate military action. The assembly erupted in applause, but President Park looked serious. She knew what this meant. Humanity was about to go to war with an empire that controlled 43 star systems, far away on Zephyr Prime. Overlord Kethfer watched the human president's speech and laughed until his sides hurt. Look at this. He called to his council. Members, the insects think they can fight us. They want us to be afraid of their tiny planet. He activated the Empire's communication system, which could reach billions of aliens across 17 different star systems. People of the Zephyrian hegemony, his voice boomed across space. The creatures from Earth think they can make demands of us. They believe their pathetic threats will make us tremble with fear. His laughter grew louder and more cruel. These humans are like ants, trying to fight elephants. We shall teach them what real power looks like. Kethver turned to his military commander, Fleet Admiral Vexron. Deploy our third battle fleet to the human solar system. Surround their little world and wait. When they see our mighty warships, they will surrender immediately. Then we can decide which of them to keep as slaves. But in a secret listening post hidden in an asteroid field, Commander Yoon Ji-won was recording every word the Zephyrian leader said. She had been monitoring alien communications for 2 years, learning their military codes and tactical plans. She smiled as she typed a coded message to Admiral Choi on Earth. Operation Darkening Sky is authorized. Repeat. Operation Darkening Sky is authorized. The Zephyrians thought they had won an easy victory. They had no idea that humanity had been waiting for exactly this moment for years. The real war was about to begin, Dr. Song. Jamin floated in zero gravity through the massive construction bay, his magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor as he walked. Around him, thousands of workers in spacesuits welded, painted, and assembled the largest secret in human history. For 15 years, he had lived in this cold, dark place at the very edge of the solar system. The Oort cloud was so far from the sun that Earth looked like just another tiny star in the black sky. It was the perfect place to hide humanity's greatest project. Dr. Song called Inspector Koa Minyung as she pushed herself through the air toward him. She had arrived on the supply ship just 2 hours ago. This was her first time seeing the secret shipyards, and her eyes were wide with amazement. Welcome to Shadow Base, Dr. Song said with a tired smile. What do you think of our little construction project? Ko Minyung looked around at the enormous space docks stretching in all directions. Hundreds of dark gray warships hung in metal cradles, their hulls gleaming under the bright work lights. Each ship was longer than 3 city blocks and bristled with weapon pods and sensor arrays. I had no idea, she whispered. The reports said we had a few prototype vessels, but this is an entire fleet. Dr. Song nodded proudly. 3,000 warships, to be exact. Each one built specifically to fight the Zephyr. We have studied their technology for years and designed every system to counter their advantages. They walked past workers installing massive railgun turrets on a destroyer-class vessel. The weapons were Dr. Song's own design, using magnetic fields to fire metal slugs at incredible speeds. But how is this possible? Ko Minyung asked. The Zephyrians have scouts throughout the galaxy. How did we hide all this from them? Dr. Song pointed toward a bank of sensor screens showing the space around them. The hegemony's scouts never come past Neptune's orbit. Out here in the Oort cloud, we have natural cosmic radiation that scrambles most sensors. Their detection equipment cannot see through the interference. He led her to an observation window overlooking the main assembly area. Below them, A massive battleship was being fitted with its final weapons systems. The ship's name was painted on its side, in Korean characters, Sejong the Great. We have been planning this since the first alien signals were detected 20 years ago, Dr. Song continued. Every piece of technology, every weapon system, every defense measure was designed with one purpose: to defeat the Zephyrian hegemony. Ko Min-young stared at the quantum tunnel drives being installed on a nearby cruiser. The devices looked like giant crystal spheres surrounded by complex machinery. Do these drives really work? Can they actually move ships across the galaxy in days instead of years? Better than that, Dr. Song smiled. My quantum tunnel technology can move an entire fleet, 300 light-years, in just 6 hours. The Zephyrians still use old-style hyperspace jumps that take weeks to cross the same distance. They will never expect us to appear in their home systems so quickly. In another part of the shipyard, Captain Bae Hyansu stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UENS Incheon. The ship was the largest vessel ever built by humanity, over 2 kilometers long, and packed with the most advanced weapons Earth could produce. His second-in-command, Commander Park Dong-wook, handed him a digital tablet showing their fleet assignments. Sir, we have confirmation that all battle groups are ready for deployment. Engineering reports that quantum tunnel drives are operating at 100% efficiency. Captain Bae scrolled through the manifest, checking each vessel and its crew. Strike Group Alpha had 12 battleships designed to engage large Zephyrian capital ships. Strike Group Beta consisted of 30 cruisers built for speed and long-range attacks. Strike Group Gamma was made up of hundreds of smaller destroyers and frigates that could swarm enemy formations. What about the new torpedo systems? Captain Bae asked. Engineer Park Eugen's fusion torpedoes have passed all tests, Commander Park replied. They are specifically designed to penetrate Zephyrian energy shields, our intelligence reports indicate. Their deflector technology cannot stop kinetic weapons moving at these velocities. Suddenly, Communications Officer Lee Do-yoon turned from her station with an urgent expression. Captain, priority message from Earth Command. Put it through, Captain Bae ordered. Admiral Choi's voice crackled through the speakers. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Choi. The Zephyrians have made their choice. They have deployed their third battle fleet to blockade Earth. I am authorizing Operation Darkening Sky. All vessels are to report to battle stations immediately. Combat deployment begins in 18 hours. Captain Bae felt his heart start to beat faster. After years of preparation, the moment had finally arrived. Commander Park, signal all ships in our battle group. Set condition red throughout the fleet. Across the massive shipyard, warning lights began flashing as thousands of crew members rushed to their battle stations. The 3,000 warships of humanity's secret fleet began powering up their quantum tunnel drives, preparing to emerge in Zephyrian space like ghosts from the darkness. Engineer Park Eugen watched from her weapons control station as fusion torpedoes were loaded into launch tubes. Each missile carried enough destructive power to vaporize a city. The Zephyrians thought they were fighting primitive humans with simple chemical rockets and metal ships. They had no idea they were about to face the most advanced military force in the galaxy. The trap was ready to spring. Space itself seemed to tear apart like wet paper. Bright cracks appeared in the darkness between stars, growing wider and wider until they became tunnels of pure light. Then the human warships began to emerge. Captain Bae Hyansu felt his stomach lurch as the *Uns, Incheon, burst out of the quantum tunnel into normal space. Around him, 799 other human vessels appeared at exactly the same moment, their dark gray hulls blocking out the light from Zephyr Prime's twin suns. Tunnel jump complete, sir, reported Lieutenant Kim Eugen from the navigation station. All ships have arrived in perfect formation. No casualties reported. Captain Bae looked at the main screen showing the planet below them. Zephyr Prime was beautiful, with purple oceans and silver cities that sparkled like jewels, but today it would witness the end of an empire. "Open a channel to all ships," he ordered. "This is Captain Bate to all human forces. Remember your orders. We are here to end a war, not start a massacre. Target only military installations and armed vessels." In the Crystal Palace on Zephyr Prime's surface, Overlord Kethfer was enjoying his morning meal when the emergency alarms began screaming. His personal aide, Counselor Yextel, rushed into the dining chamber with terror in her large black eyes. "My lord, you must see this immediately," she gasped, activating a holographic display above the table. Kethfer nearly choked on his food. The space above his homeworld was filled with enormous alien ships. They were not the small, simple vessels he had expected from the primitive humans. These were massive war machines, each one bristling with weapon systems he did not recognize. "How many ships?" he whispered. 800, my lord. They appeared from nowhere, without any warning. Our sensors detected nothing until they were already here." Fleet Admiral Vexron burst through the chamber doors, his silver uniform torn and his face pale with shock. "My lord, this is impossible. No species in the galaxy has tunnel technology. It violates every law of quantum mechanics we know." Kethfer stared at the display, showing human warships surrounding his planet. Each vessel was over a kilometer long and covered in angular armor plates. They looked like mechanical predators, designed for one purpose only: war. Suddenly, all the communication screens in the palace activated at once. A human face appeared, an older man with gray hair and cold, determined eyes. "This is Admiral Choi Sung-min of the United Earth Navy," the human said calmly. "I am speaking to all Zephyrian military forces in this system. You have exactly 30 minutes to power down all weapons and surrender your vessels. Any ship that attempts to flee or fight will be destroyed without mercy." Kethver jumped to his feet, his translucent skin flushing with anger. "Surrender. We are the Zephyrian hegemony. We control 43 worlds. These insects dare demand our surrender." Admiral Vexron was frantically trying to contact his fleets in other star systems. "My lord, I cannot reach our forces in the outer colonies. Our communication networks are being jammed across multiple sectors." What they did not know was that human fleets had appeared in 12 different Zephyrian star systems at the same moment. Operation Darkening Sky was happening everywhere at once. High above the planet, Captain An Soo-young commanded a squadron of heavy cruisers. Her ships were positioned directly over the main Zephyrian naval base on the moon, Kepler 7. When the 30-minute deadline expired, she did not hesitate. "All ships, commence firing," she ordered. "Target the enemy battleships first. Use fusion torpedoes on their largest vessels." The human ships opened fire with weapons the Zephyrians had never seen before. Kinetic railguns fired metal slugs at nearly the speed of light. The projectiles punched through Zephyrian energy shields, like they were made of tissue paper. Fusion torpedoes streaked across space like falling stars, each one carrying enough explosive power to level a mountain. When they struck the alien warships, the vessels simply vanished in balls of nuclear fire. Commander O. Minseok led his destroyer squadron against the orbital defense platforms protecting Zephyr Prime. His ships were smaller and faster than the heavy cruisers, designed to dart in and out of battle like deadly wasps. "Target the shield generators first," he told his weapons officer, Ensign Park Hyojin. "Once their defenses are down, take out the plasma cannon arrays." The destroyers moved through the Zephyrian defenses, like a scythe cutting through wheat. Every shot found its mark. The alien defense platforms, which had protected the capital world for 3 centuries, were reduced to burning scrap metal in less than an hour. In his palace, Overlord Kethver watched his mighty fleets being destroyed. On the tactical displays, ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were burning like candles in the darkness of space. "This cannot be happening," he whispered. "We are the masters of the galaxy. We have the strongest military in known space. But the truth was becoming clear with every explosion on the screens. The humans had been planning this war from the very beginning. Every diplomatic message, every peaceful gesture had been a lie, designed to make the Zephyrians feel safe and confident. The species from Earth had deliberately appeared weak and primitive, while secretly building the most powerful war fleet in galactic history. They had studied Zephyrian technology for years, learning every weakness and designing weapons specifically to exploit them. Within 6 hours, the Zephyrian hegemony's military power was broken forever. The white flag appeared on every Zephyrian communication channel at exactly 1400 hours on the 6th day. Overlord Kethver's image flickered onto the main screen of Admiral Choi's flagship. But the proud alien leader looked like a broken old man. Admiral Choi of Earth, Kethver's voice was barely a whisper. The Zephyrian hegemony formally surrenders. All military forces, to your command. We ask for mercy for our civilian populations. Admiral Choi Sungmin stood on the bridge of the UENS Incheon, looking down at the beautiful planet that had once been the center of a galactic empire. Purple oceans reflected the light of twin suns, and silver cities sparkled like diamonds across the continents. But now, human warships filled the sky above them. Your surrender is accepted, Admiral Choi replied calmly. All Zephyrian military personnel will report to designated collection points for processing. Civilian populations will not be harmed. Earth's forces are here to restore peace, not to conquer. Behind the Admiral, Captain Seo Minna worked at her command station, coordinating relief efforts across 12 star systems. Sir, medical ships are reporting heavy casualties on the outer colonies. The Zephyrians are running short of emergency supplies. Send whatever they need, Admiral Choi ordered. Food, medicine, construction materials for rebuilding. We are liberators, not destroyers. Colonel Zheng Dehan approached with a digital tablet showing deployment reports. Admiral, our occupation forces have secured all major Zephyrian military bases. Most of their personnel surrendered without resistance. They seem genuinely shocked that we are treating prisoners according to galactic warfare conventions. Admiral Choi nodded. The Zephyrians had expected humans to be as cruel as they had been. Instead, they found Earth's soldiers helping wounded aliens and distributing food to hungry families. Colonel, I want you to establish civilian government councils on every occupied world, the Admiral said. Local Zephyrian leaders can continue administering their own people, but all military forces remain under our control. Across the bridge, Communications Officer Lee Dayun looked up from her station with excitement. Sir, we are receiving priority messages from Earth Command. President Park wants to speak with you immediately. The main screen changed to show President Park So-young sitting in her office in Geneva. Behind her, through the large windows, the lights of Earth's capital city twinkled in the evening darkness. Admiral Choi, congratulations on a brilliant victory, the president said with a proud smile. The whole world is celebrating. But I have even better news to report. She held up a stack of electronic message tablets. In the past 20 hours, we have received diplomatic communications from 47 different alien species. The Centauran Republic wants to establish trade agreements. The Vegan Confederation is asking for cultural exchange programs. Even the Syrian Empire, who have ignored us for decades, sent a formal request for peaceful relations. Admiral Choi felt a warm feeling in his chest. This was what they had been fighting for, not conquest, but recognition. For too long, other species had looked down on humanity as primitive and weak. Now they understood the truth. What are your orders, Madame President? He asked. Begin diplomatic talks with any species that approaches us in good faith, President Park replied. But maintain our military presence in former Zephyrian space until we are certain peace will hold. The galaxy needs to see that Earth keeps its promises both our offers of friendship and our warnings about the consequences of aggression. On Earth, in a small village outside Seoul, 8-year-old twins, Kim Minjun and Kim Arin, were playing in their grandmother's garden. The old woman, Kim Sunya, sat on her wooden bench, watching them chase fireflies in the warm summer evening. "Grandma, look at all the stars." Minjun pointed up at the bright points of light scattered across the dark sky. "I wonder what's up there." His sister Iren picked a flower and held it up toward the heavens. "Maybe there are other children like us on other worlds. Maybe someday we can be friends with them." Grandmother Kim smiled softly. She had lived through many wars in her 93 years. She remembered when Korea was divided, when Earth was torn apart by conflicts between nations. But tonight, for the first time in decades, the world felt truly peaceful. "Yes, little ones," she said gently. "I think there will be many new friends among the stars. Our people have just opened a door to wonders we cannot even imagine." The children did not know that their species had just become the most powerful force in the galaxy. They did not understand that human warships now protected dozens of worlds, or that alien diplomats were lining up to meet with Earth's leaders. All they knew was that the stars looked especially bright tonight, full of mystery and possibility. In space stations orbiting distant suns, former Zephyrian worlds began flying new flags. Alongside their traditional banners, the blue and white emblem of the United Earth government, trade ships started moving between human and alien colonies, carrying goods and ideas across the galaxy. The age of human dominance had begun, but it was built on respect rather than fear. Earth's leaders had learned the most important lesson of all. True strength came not from the size of your weapons, but from the wisdom to use them only when necessary. And in quiet gardens, on a small blue planet, children looked up at the stars and dreamed of tomorrow.